Hello everyone, welcome back to online lecture series on fluid mechanics and electronic machines. We are continuing our topic of fluid and their properties. First of all, we will quickly revisit our previous topics. So in our previous lecture we began with surface tension. It is defined as a tensile force acting on the surface of liquid in contact with the gas or on the surface between two immiscible liquids, such that the contact surface behaves like a membrane under tension. So here what happens that whenever there is a combination of a gas that is air over here and a liquid over here, or there are two different liquids which are immiscible, then the contact surface between them will behave like a membrane under tension, and the magnitude of this force, that is this tensile force per unit length of free surface, will have the same value as the surface energy per unit area. So this is called as surface tension, and we have taken some previous example here of three molecules, and the molecules which are present on the free surface are having unbalanced force. That's why the net force is in downward direction. That's why we are having a tensile force acting over it. So this surface of liquid, that is free surface, acts like a very thin film under tension of liquid. So this phenomena is known as surface tension. And then we proved the formula of pressure in terms of surface tension. We took two different cases. First is liquid droplet and second is hollow bubble. So here surface tension force is equal to pressure force. So ultimately we are getting the pressure value as 4 sigma upon B. And here in case of hollow bubble, the only difference is in case of liquid droplet, inside the droplet it is full of liquid and outside is full of air. But in case of a bubble, on both sides of the bubble, that is hollow bubble, that is inside and outside, we are having air. So the surface tension area increases by 2 folds, that is 2 into pi into d. So pressure value is 8 sigma upon d, which is double than the droplet's pressure. Then we discussed about capillarity. Capillarity is also related to surface tension. So it is a phenomena of rise or fall of liquid surface in a small tube relative to the adjacent level of liquid when the tube is held vertically in the liquid. So whenever that, let us say in this case we are having this vessel in which which is filled with water, and if we take one tube like this and if we put it inside this, so according to the characteristics of liquid, the liquid will either rise or fall in this tube. So if there is a rise, then it will be a capillary rise, and if it is a fall, then it will be a capillary depression. Now it is denoted in terms of cm or mm of liquid. So as you can see, it depends on specific weight of liquid, diameter of tube and surface tension of liquid. And we proved the formula for capillary rise as well as capillary fall or depression. So these are the both equations are same. The only difference will be there in the angle theta. Now the next part is compressibility and bulk modulus. Compressibility is the reciprocal of bulk modulus of elasticity K, and this bulk modulus of elasticity is defined as the ratio of compressive stress to volumetric strain. So K is defined in this way, and we took an example of piston cylinder arrangement to explain this part. So this is a process of compression where pressure is increasing, volume is decreasing. So increase in pressure is dP and volumetric strain is minus dV upon V. So this is the value of bulk modulus, and reciprocal of it is known as compressibility. Then we studied about vapor pressure. So a change of state from liquid to gas is known as vaporization. And we took one example that we are having a closed vessel in which water is kept at 20 degrees Celsius and 1 atmospheric pressure. So liquid will vaporize at 100 degrees Celsius. Now here, when the vaporization takes place, molecules will escape from the free surface and it will gather at the top part of this. So this accumulated vapor will exert a pressure on the liquid surface, that is free surface. This is known as this pressure is known as vapor pressure of liquid. Now we will begin our new topic today, that is concept of container. So here we will consider a system like this, and for this whole system we will focus on this small portion which is having mass as del m, and it is occupied in the volume del v. So here let us consider the mass of del m in volume dV surrounding at point P. Now the ratio del V upon del m upon del V is the average mass density of system within the volume dV. If you recall, our formula for density is equal to mass divided by volume. Okay, so here as we can see here that in this case we are having mass as del m upon del v. So this will be known as average mass density. So now this is something which is we are going to focus on. So we suppose here that at first we del V is rather large, and subsequently it is shrunk about a point P. So what we are trying to say over here, that let's say that we are having a bigger volume like this, and let's say this is del V. Now what we are going to do, that we are going to reduce this volume one by one. So let's say this is the next reduction in volume. Then we will further reduce this. Then we will further reduce this. So what we are going to do, that we are going to reduce it one by one, and let's say ultimately it reaches a point like this P, that is shown over here. So this is the on this graph, if you see, then here we are having the variation in volume in x direction. Okay, so what is happening here, that here volume is increasing. So if you see the positive x direction, then it is in this way, it is in the reverse direction here. So let's see, we are somewhere here at the beginning, that is this portion, and we are keep on reducing the volume here. Okay, so let's erase this part. So if delta V is very large, then the average density tends to approach an asymptote as delta V increases. So once we keep on increasing this delta V at some distance, that is, let's say over here on this portion, beyond this point the average density will be an asymptote, that is, it will remain constant. So here rho is remaining constant. Okay, so rho is remaining constant beyond one point. However, when we go on the other side of the line, that is on the left hand side of this vertical line, then however when delta V becomes so small as to contain relatively few molecules. So see what happens, that whenever volume is sufficiently large, it will accumulate so many molecules inside it. But when we keep on reducing it, let's say in this way, then relatively very less number of molecules will be present inside this small volume. So in such case, when molecules are very less, the average density fluctuates substantially. So this is important part here. The average density fluctuates substantially with the time as the molecules pass in or out of the volume in the random motion. So here in much smaller volume, let's say this is a smaller volume, and inside it we are having some molecules like this. So because of very low volume, molecules can easily enter into this volume as well as they can exit from this small volume. So because of this this random movement of molecules inside this small volume, the average density fluctuates substantially with the time. So here, if you see, then this is the variation which we are observing. So there is no fixed value of density in this region. Why? Because this is the domain of molecular effects. So here it cannot be said that whether the density, which value of density will be there inside such small volume. So it is impossible to speak about a definite volume of definite value of del m over del v. So density is very uncertain in this region, while here beyond certain threshold value, the domain of continuum, that is known as domain of continuum, where there is a fixed value of density or average mass density. So this is the point of interest for us, that is this value del v prime. That is over here. This is the region. After this del v prime, the average density is surely going to remain constant. Del v prime. So the density of a system at a point is defined as rho is equal to limit del v tends to del v prime del m upon del v. So when the smallest volume reaches this threshold value del v prime, the derivative term of del m upon del v is known as density of the system at a point. Now the concept of continuum loses its validity when the mean free path of the molecules approaches the magnitude of dimensions of vessel. So here
So our next topic is fluid pressure at a point. Consider a small area dA in a large mass of fluid. So let us say that we will use this space over here. There is a big vessel in which water is fully filled. So here what we are going to do is we are going to focus on small area dA of this fluid. So let's say that a small area is like this, on which we are going to focus. So let's enlarge this here. Like this. So here let's say that the area for this is dA. dA is the small area here, and the force exerted by surrounding fluid on this area will always be perpendicular to the surface dA. So here it will always be a perpendicular one, like this. So this will be the pressure force acting on this surface by surrounding fluid. So let's say that this force is dF. Let the dF is the force acting on the area dA in normal direction. The ratio dF upon dA is known as the intensity of pressure P. And the unit of pressure is bar. So there are few points that we need to discuss on unit of pressure is here. So the SI unit here is based on the equation, it should be Newton meter inverse 2, and generally it is written in bar. So this is also known as, this Newton meter inverse 2 is also a Pascal. So another important relation here is 1 bar is equal to 10 raised to 5 Newton meter inverse 2, or it can be written as 10 raised to 5 Pascal, or it can be written as 10 raised to 3 weight. Here it should be 10 raised to 2 kilo Pascal, that is 1 bar is equal to 10 raised to 2 kilopascal. So now this is all about the unit of pressure. Now our next theory is Pascal's law. Pascal's law, it states the pressure or intensity of pressure at any point in a static fluid is equal in all directions. So in a static fluid, if we consider a point, then intensity of pressure should be equal in all directions. That is the Pascal's law. So what we are going to do here is we are going to prove this law. So we will take a small fluid element and for simplicity we will take a right angle triangle fluid element. Consider this to be a very small element A, B, C, and this is theta. Now as far as dimensions are concerned, here let us say this is dimension dx, here it will be dy, and here it will be ds. Now we will focus on, yes, there is one more dimension which is not visible here, as the screen is two dimensional. We cannot see the third dimension in which is perpendicular to the screen you are watching. So that will be the width. So what we will consider is, here width as unity or is equal to 1. So here now what we are going to do is the consideration of pressure forces. So pressure forces will be perpendicular. Here it will be P y into, it should be area, so here it will be dx into 1. Then here it will be px into dy into 1. You must be aware that this 1 is for the unit width of the fluid element, and here it will be pz into ds into 1. So here now we will be discussing about the forces. Apart from this pressure force, one force which we need to consider is weight force. So weight force is always in the downward direction in this way. This will be the W force. So now let's calculate the forces. Force on AB, which is equal to Px into dy, then force on AC, which is equal to Py into dx, then force on face BC is equal to Pz into ds. Apart from that, we need to discuss about weight force, which is always in downward direction. Which is equal to rho V and G. Which is equal to rho into, instead of volume we can say area, into the width is 1 into G, so is equal to rho into half dx dy into G. So we can simplify this as half G dx dy. Now we will again focus on this diagram to draw the forces again. So here this will be Px dy, this will be Py dx. Here it will be half rho g dx dy, and here it will be pz into ds. Now if you focus here, in comparison with this BC face, then here this angle was, wait, here this angle was theta here, so this angle should also be theta. You can check it by yourself. So now we will be resolving the forces in x direction. So here Px dy is equal to Pz ds cos theta. So if we take cos theta here in the triangular figure, cos theta is equal to dy upon ds. So now dy is equal to ds into cos theta. So here we can say that Px dy is equal to Pz into dy. So now Ex is equal to Pz. So this is we have achieved here after this. Now we will calculate the same thing for y direction. So for y direction it will be Py dx is equal to Pz ds into sine theta plus half rho g dx dy. So again here if we take sine theta, then it will be equal to dx upon ds. So dx is equal to ds into sine theta. So here py into dx is equal to pz into dx. See here, as far as this portion is concerned, we will neglect this part because two small derivatives are multiplied, so relatively this value will be very small, so we can neglect it. So here we are getting py is equal to pz. So when we combine these two equations, finally we are getting px is equal to py is equal to pz. So we have proved the equation. So now we can copy this part into our main slide. So we have proved the Pascal's law here. Now our next theory is pressure variation in fluid at rest. So pressure at any point in a fluid at a rest is obtained by hydrostatic law, which states that the rate of increase in pressure in a vertically downward direction must be equal to the specific weight of fluid at that point. So the rate of increase of pressure can be written in this way, that is delta P over delta Z is equal to the specific weight omega, which is also written as rho into G. So that is the hydrostatic law, and this we need to prove. So let's prove this. So first of all, again we will focus on a small fluid element. So here this will be our fluid element. The pressure forces will be like this. Here it will be P into delta A. Here it will be P plus del P over del Z into delta Z into delta A. So here the thing is that here we are having this height as delta Z. Now the thing which I haven't drawn initially is this is entirely a part of fluid. To keep clarity, I will not draw everywhere. So now another thing that is over here is this height from the free surface is Z. Now delta A is equal to cross sectional area of fluid element. Then delta Z is equal to height of fluid element then we have P as pressure on face AB and Z is equal to distance of face AB from free surface. Now we will see the forces. First is pressure force on AB, that is equal to P into delta A. Second is pressure force on CD is equal to P plus del P over del Z into delta Z into delta A. Third is weight force which is equal to rho into delta A into delta Z into G. And fourth force is force on AD is equal to force on BC. Why? Because if you see here, then this forces will be, this pressure forces will be equal and opposite in direction. So this will eliminate each other, so this will not be counted any further. Now let's resolve this forces. So all forces are only in vertical direction, so P into delta A minus P plus del P over del Z into delta Z into delta A plus rho into delta A into delta Z into G equal to 0. So what we will be getting at the end of this is minus del P over del Z into delta Z into delta A plus rho into delta A into delta Z into G equal to 0. So based on it, we will be getting del P over del Z is equal to rho G. So this is the thing which we wanted to prove, and this is also equal to the specific weight omega. So now we can copy this. So the same equation can be found over here. Now our next theory is pressure head. It is defined as a vertical height of free surface of fluid above the point of consideration. So we will continue from the last equation here, that del P over del Z is equal to rho into G. So let's first take this as a total derivative. Del dP over dz is equal to rho into G. So dP is equal to rho G dz. So once we integrate this on both the sides, we can get P is equal to rho Gz. So now P upon rho G is equal to Z. So this is known as the pressure head. Now our next theory is hydrostatic paradox. So to understand this phenomena, we will take three different cases. See, here we have three different vessels of different shapes, as we can see, and all are filled with same height of water h. So height is same everywhere. And here the another important thing is it is having same base area, capital A. So if we see the definition of or formula for hydrostatic law was like this, that P is equal to rho g h. So the pressure should be dependent only on height. So let's say the intensity of pressure over here, P, here, and here. So as the height of the liquid is same, so H is equal to P upon rho g is same. So based on this, the pressure value should be same for all three vessels, despite there is a change in shape as well as the weight of fluid is also different in all three cases. So this same quantity of pressure, despite having different shape and weight, is known as hydrostatic paradox. So this is the end of this chapter. We will quickly revisit the topics that we have studied today. So we started with continuum, concept of continuum, in which this is the threshold value of the volume. Greater than that, we will have a domain of continuum, and less than that, we will have a domain of molecular effects. So the density remains constant in domain of continuum, and it varies significantly in the domain of molecular effects. So this is the formula for density of system at a point. Now this is the formula for pressure, that is P is equal to force upon area. The units are Newton, meter inverse 2 or Pascal, and bar. The next theory was Pascal's law, which states that the intensity of pressure at a point remains same in all directions. So here we took a small triangular element and we analyzed all the forces which are present, and we proved that Px is equal to Py is equal to Pz. The next theory is pressure variation in fluid at rest. So this is actually a hydrostatic law which states that the rate of increase of pressure in vertically downward direction must be equal to the specific weight of fluid at that point. So here we are getting this is the formula, and we have proved it over here for this rectangular fluid element. Apart from that, here pressure head, it is defined as vertical height of free surface above of fluid above the point of concentration, that is Z is equal to P by rho g. And at last we studied about hydrostatic paradox, that despite the shape is different and the weight is different, we are getting the same pressure intensity at the bottom, provided that the area is same at the bottom. So this is the end of today's lecture as well as end of this chapter. Thank you for watching this video.